Hidalgo. He is also a computer engineer, so we are almost the same. And he's vice president of Technologies, but he also works with innovation and creativity areas. And what do you want?
Right, that's all. Thanks everyone for being here this nice Friday. First of all, based on my experience in innovation and creativity, since I'm writing a book, I would say that I was blown away following the 3Pix presentation, so thanks. I want to talk about the concept of the lonely genius, okay? And this is going to be a light talk since it's Friday. But, I wanted to talk about this idea of the lonely genius working in a garage against establishment, and finally finding something by himself or herself and beating everyone else, okay? During two centuries, that's been the idea that in Western cultures would have of how creativity works. And what I wanted to talk about here is that, when we think about scientists, creators, writers, we think of Marie Curie, Edison, Einstein, sculptors, whoever, we also believe in this tale. And this is a compelling tale, but it's not enough, and it's not true. And basically what I wanted to mention here is about the creativity myths, okay? I will be taking information from different, telling you about the different research that's been happening in the past years about what those creativity myths are and what it means to us when we try to create a new wave of creativity. So let's start with the creativity myths, and let's start with the first one, the lonely inventor. I don't know if you've seen this movie, Into the Wild. Movie where this guy, and it's based on a true story, as it says there, where this guy just forgets about everything, starts to travel throughout the states, and then finds a nice place in Alaska where you will have to read the book or watch the movie to see what's next. But this idea of the lonely inventor is not true, and it's not true even with the prototype of the lonely inventor, which was Edison. Edison with hundreds of patents. Well, Edison had a 16 people scumworks team, and that's the truth. And actually, his role was more of a team leader or a brand person. Many of his patents were not done by himself. Okay, and actually, some of his patents he didn't know about those inventions just before the patent was issued. Okay, he had a very good team. There was a lot of talent. I'm not gonna fight against that. But the truth is that Edison and many of them had this, created this tale, created this marketing brand in order to sell better. Okay? As one author called Mihaly, professor of the University of Chicago, says, creativity and innovation is more like a jazz ensemble. Okay? Where you have your own talent, but you have to listen to everyone else to actually know what's going on and actually react to what's going on. Okay, it doesn't matter, the guys you're playing with might be your colleagues or might be your competitors, but actually you have to be listening to what's going on. Or as Bernard Descartes said and Newton repeated, we stand on the shoulders of giants. So even if we think we're doing something incredibly new, we're actually based on what we did before, right? Or somebody did before. That would be then the second myth, epiphany. Okay? Archimedes, Newton, the apple falling down, okay, and then finally, oh man, gravity, comes into play or something like that. Well, again, this is very nice, and this is great for a tale, for a story, right? But it's not true. And take example of Einstein. Einstein wrote two papers in 1905 that changed the world. But actually, after it was, I think it was 1911, where Max von Laue actually proofread the equations, okay, that Einstein initially wrote, because they were full of mistakes, okay? So even if you think you are doing something by yourself, you actually need the help of the community to keep on going. So this idea of epiphany, where, oh man, I had the idea, it's true, you need a moment of insight, but it's not the whole truth. The whole truth is that, according to some researchers such as Mihaly again, or Osborne, who actually invented brainstorming 40 years ago, there's kind of like 5 different stages. First, this is where the myth breaks down. You need preparation. Okay, I usually like sports to use sports as a metaphor. I love basketball. Okay, but I don't think I'm going to be able to play like Kobe Bryant today. okay, as much as I have a moment of insight. I need to prepare very much. I need to master the domain. After that, it's true, after many research and interviews with very well-known creators and innovators, there's a moment of incubation. And that's what many people say. That's actually true. I mean, once you've worked a lot, once you've prepared a lot, you need to just relax and let your brain work. After that, there's a moment of intimation where you start thinking that, oh, there's something here in my head. I think I know how to solve the problem, but I'm not there yet. And then, yeah, you have the moment of insight. Great, that's perfect. And actually, some researchers say that actually it's not a moment of insight. It's just a set of different mini insights that lead you to that final great idea. And of course, as Edison said, there's 1% of inspiration, 99% of perspiration. So you need to validate and verify that what you're thinking is true, is actually true, or validated by the customer if you are thinking more in a commercial world. Third myth, creativity is fun. Well, I can tell you many things, but one thing I can tell you is that Michael Jordan is not having fun at this moment when Sean Kemp is trying to beat him up. Okay? What it means that creativity is fun is that, again, this professor of Chicago defined as flow, state of flow, or peak experience. When we are so inside the problem that time seems to fly by. We're writing a novel, we're thinking about our stories, and everything goes pretty fast. What this professor defines as flow is when it happens when we have to tackle a problem that is difficult enough for us. So if I have to play a game against the Chicago Bulls at that time or Lakers this year, I'm not going to have fun and I'm not going to get into a state of peak experience because I'm not good enough at that level. But probably Paul Gasol, if you follow the Spanish guy, the Spaniard guy who's playing basketball in the NBA right now, he's in that peak experience because he had a challenge to get, because I'm good enough and I think I can get to the NBA. Okay, so creativity is not exactly fun, but it's a very challenging task. And when we get to that peak experience moment, is when we give the most of ourselves. Another myth is that creativity means rejecting conventions. We can think of our, Quixotean experience where we go against establishment and we believe that we can beat everyone else. But that's usually not true. Even when we think about some of the biggest changes in history, like quantum mechanics, for example, if we think about physics, it's actually not, it was not like, okay, we believe in Newton, we don't believe in Newton anymore, okay? There was many years of experience, many years of research based on the previous research, and even what it thinks to be the more outstanding differentiation from before, we're actually following some kind of conventions. We might redefine them, but we're still following that. I must say that even though this is considered already as a myth, there's some discussion about this too, okay? Another thing is that, well, there's no single method for innovating and being creative. Well, again, this is another issue for discussion, but what is true is that there's no single method. And you can find many different, if you go to a bookstore, you see many techniques for creativity and things like that. What we're trying to do here is trying to find a framework. Again, this is more in the research part. Okay, there are many different ways. It's not that there's one single method. There are many different ways, but let's try to find a framework where we can see, okay, this is one example, that we try to find the problem, analyze the problem, solve the problem in a creative way, and enable the problem. And for each of those elements, then we have different techniques that we can use depending on the situation. And this can be used both for technical problems, but also, for example, I'm using this specific framework for writing a book, writing a novel. Trying to see, how would I use these techniques for something that is not technical? Let's see how it works. And it's working. At least, we'll see, but I think it's working.